Okay, you know the feeling, right? You're walking through your living room in the dark and bam, you just slam your little toe into the coffee table. The pain is just electric. So what's the first word that pops into your head? Yeah, for most of us, it's definitely not going to be gosh or darn. But here's the real question. Does that four-letter word you just yelled, does it actually do anything?
And that's the exact question we're going to dive into today. I mean, it feels like it helps, right? But is there any actual science behind the idea that cursing can make you feel better? Well, let me tell you, the answer is way more fascinating than you probably think.
All right, so to figure this out, researchers came up with this brilliantly simple and, let's be honest, kind of mean experiment. They got a bunch of people to plunge their hands into a bucket of ice-cold water. You know, a classic pain challenge. And then they measured what happened when they let them start swearing.
And the first result was just astounding. When the participants started dropping some classic swear words, their pain threshold, that's the moment they first even start to feel the pain, it shot up by a whopping 32%. So they could keep their hand in that freezing water way longer before it even began to hurt. But hold on, because that's not all.
It also boosted their pain tolerance, which is how long they could actually put up with the agony, by 33%. So think about that. Not only did it take longer to feel the pain, but they could handle it for a lot longer once it kicked in. The conclusion was pretty clear. Swearing actually helps you deal with pain.
Okay, but the next logical question is, was it just any emotional word? So to test this, the researchers invented two brand new swear words, fouch and twizpipe. I know, they're kind of funny, and the participants thought so too. But when they tried yelling those words during the ice water test, absolutely nothing. No pain relief at all. And this is key. It proves there's something really special about the genuine taboo swear words we all know, and maybe love.
So, this brings us to the big question, right? If it's not just about yelling a funny or emotional word, what's actually going on here? What is happening inside our bodies when we let a curse word fly?
Well, the first theory was a pretty cool-sounding thing called stress-induced analgesia. The idea was basically that swearing is so emotionally powerful that it just kickstarts our body's fight-or-flight response. You know, it floods your system with adrenaline, gets your heart pumping, and a side effect of all that is that it actually dulls your perception of pain. It seemed to make perfect sense, but as it turns out, there was a twist.
Yeah, because this is where the story gets even stranger. Researchers started wondering if this whole effect went beyond just pain. What if swearing could actually make you stronger?
And you know what? The results were absolutely shocking. They had people do an intense cycling test, and when they swore, they generated way more power. Then they did a hand grip strength test, and on average, people could squeeze with an extra 2.1 kilograms of force. Cursing was literally, measurably making them stronger.
But here is the plot twist. While all this was happening, while these people were getting physically stronger, the researchers were monitoring their vital signs. And they found nothing. No major changes in heart rate, no spike in blood pressure. Those classic telltale signs of the fight-or-flight response, they just weren't there.
So, wait a minute. If the fight-or-flight theory was wrong, what on earth could explain this? How can one little word boost your pain tolerance and your physical strength without setting off the body's classic stress alarm? Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't in our muscles, it's in our minds.
Yeah, the real explanation is this incredible psychological phenomenon that lets us tap into a hidden reserve of our own potential.
It's called state disinhibition, and what that means essentially is that swearing acts like a key. It temporarily unlocks the normal cautious limits that we usually put on ourselves. You know, it lets us push right past those psychological barriers that are always whispering, okay, that's enough now, or whoa, be careful.
I love how the lead researcher on this, Dr. Richard Stevens, put it. He said, swearing helps us to stop overthinking and start doing. It's like it short-circuits that part of your brain that hesitates all the time. It's basically a mental permission slip to just go for it, to push a little harder, to endure a little more.
Now I get it. The idea of a single word unlocking physical power might sound a little out there. But check out this really powerful parallel from the world of martial arts. So in Taekwondo, practitioners use this really powerful yell. It's called a ki hop. And while it's tied to the whole philosophical concept of ki, or vital energy, it got researchers thinking, could this yell be doing the exact same thing as swearing, just from a scientific point of view?
And the data is just crystal clear. Researchers actually measured the force of a roundhouse kick. Without the yell, the kick landed with about 7.1 grams of force. But with the key hop, it jumped all the way to 7.8 grams. It's just like swearing. This forceful yell produced a real, measurable increase in physical power. It's that exact same principle of disinhibition at work.
So let's wrap this up. After our little journey through ice water, intense bike rides, and martial arts dojos, what's the big takeaway here? What have we really learned about the power of a few, well, forbidden words?
Well, it all comes down to this. Swearing isn't just about letting off steam. It's a genuine psychological tool. We've seen it measurably boosts your pain tolerance and your physical strength. And it doesn't do it with an adrenaline rush, but through this thing called state disinhibition. Basically, letting you bypass your brain's normal safety limits. And we see the exact same thing happening with the powerful key hop of a martial artist.
And that leaves us with one last, really fascinating thought. What all this science shows is that we all have these self-imposed limits, these internal barriers we might not even know are there. So, if a single taboo word has the power to just temporarily tear them down and unlock greater physical performance, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other potential are you holding back, just waiting for the right key to unlock it?